So I got a pop-up for a new streaming service yesterday when I was just scrolling online. And I honestly don't know why it exists. It's the most useless service. It's expensive. And it just kind of reminded me there is so many streaming services now. You know, we went from like one or two in Prime Video and Netflix, which eventually branched off to like Disney Plus, Hulu, that branched off to whatever the we have today. So I thought it'd be interesting to go through and rank all the major streaming services for movies and TV shows, and also include in there some niche ones that some of you would probably never buy and give you my opinion if it's actually worth the purchase. Now we're going to be ranking these on a bunch of different factors, from price to the amount of content they offer to the availability of the service. Now if you guys are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button right down below, give this video a big thumbs up, and let's get into it.
All right, so let's go ahead and get right into things. So we have 13 streaming services we're ranking today, and we're going to start with some of the major ones, and we're going to work our way to the more niche and a few that you probably have never heard of. But let's start off by talking about the services. So we have Disney Plus, Prime Video, Crunchyroll, Peacock, Curiosity Streams, the Criterion channel. We have Apple TV Plus, Netflix, Hulu, AMC Plus, Shudder, Max, and Paramount. Now, these are the ones that I just found online. I know I'm missing a few here. If there's some major ones I'm missing, let me know down below in the comments, but I think I got all of the major ones, mostly. So we're going to start off with one of my favorites, and this might be one of the most controversial ones, and that is Prime Video. And the reason why I say that is because when we look at price, most people actually don't pay this price. And the reason for that is because Prime Video comes typically with a Prime subscription, and you get it completely free. But we're going to go off the price that you pay if you don't want to get the whole Prime subscription. So that's $9.99 a month USD. Now, in terms of content, I personally think Prime Video has one of the best libraries, but not just one of the best libraries. They have some of the best originals. They came out with the Fallout TV series. I believe they also have the rights to Harry Potter. I could be wrong on that. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong on that. They came out with Rings of Power, which was really good. So they're creating actual good original content that people want to watch. You know, not just that like new Netflix movie, Rebel Moon. Listen, if you haven't watched Rebel Moon, go watch it. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Now, although the price is pretty affordable, check this out. They recently added a $3 a month fee if you want to remove ads. So everything they're charging you is ad supported. And then if you want to remove it after, you have to pay that $3 fee through your subscription. So essentially it's $13 a month, not $10, unless you really like ads. Now, availability wise, this is obviously available all over the world, but the amount of content you get will depend on your location because of licensing rights. Now, this is going to be controversial. For me, Prime Video is an S tier. It is just the best service overall. And the fact that Prime also acts as a bit of a media player and you can connect a lot of different subscriptions through it, which is really valuable as well. Okay, so next up we have Disney Plus, which became extremely popular during the pandemic. Well, I think that's when it came out, because everybody was super nostalgic about Disney content, obviously. But in my opinion, since then, it's went way down. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but their original content isn't even that good anymore. Like first 2 seasons, Mandalorian, good. Everything else, it's kind of getting mid. Okay, price-wise, Disney is interesting because you can actually bundle it with other services. Now, there are some other ones you can do this with as well, but they basically partnered with Hulu to give it to you really cheap. But we're just going to go with their basic pricing. So it's $7.99 a month if you want it with ads, and if you want it without ads, it's $13.99 a month. And you also get the ability to download on the go with the no ads version as well. So that's pretty competitive pricing. $7.99 for an ad version is fine. But when you're getting to that $14 range, that's almost the price of Netflix. And that ends up being one of the most expensive streaming services at that price. It's available pretty much everywhere in the world: North America, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Europe. So no matter where you are, you'll be able to get it because Disney's the company that runs the service, and they also have the licensing right to their own content, making it easy for them to do that. So availability is really good for this app. In terms of content, Disney has obviously a pretty big library, but it's not like they just put up all their Disney content, right? They keep it pretty categorized and they rotate the content. So you're not just getting all the Disney shows and movies ever made. Now, plus side is if you're a Marvel fan, you also get all the Marvel content as well. But to me, their originals just don't hit. Like, this is the place that also made She-Hulk, which had like 2005 level CGI in it. And original content has become a really big importance for streaming services in terms of their valuability. Is that a word? Valuability? I don't know. So for me, Disney Plus is a B tier. Now, some people are going to disagree, but the price is just too high for the amount of original content you're getting. And it's not like they're licensing a ton of content from other companies. Now, for any of you that are anime fans, anime sucks to watch online. Licensing right is extremely complicated for anime, and that means you constantly have to go to multiple services. But one streaming service is trying to change that. That's Crunchyroll. So this is basically an anime only streaming service, but it is kind of complicated in how to get the content you want. You might be a huge One Piece fan and you might be in one of the countries that don't offer One Piece on Crunchyroll or all the seasons you want to get. Now, one of the good parts of Crunchyroll is you can actually get free anime on here. So they offer a bunch of their episodes completely free. If you're in the US, you might get some different free episodes from the UK. So a VPN is really useful for that. And I would consider this a niche service. So this isn't really a Netflix, right? This is something for a specific audience, right? You're only getting this if you like anime. So I expect the prices to go with that. And the price is $7.99 a month. You only get one device, but you do get ad-free viewing experience in that price. So it's not like it's ad supported in any way. Now, as you move up in their plans, you get more devices, you get offline viewing, a bunch of other extra bonuses as well, which some people really like this. So I can't hate too much. But that price, it's pricey. We can't sit here and lie. That's an expensive premium for an anime-only streaming service. It's available pretty much all over the world, Asia, except for parts of Asia, Russia, and Belarus. Did I say Belarus? Oh my God, I called it Belarus. I said it right the second time. Okay, I did get it right. Now, for anime fans, the amount of content Crunchyroll offers is going to blow your mind, right? This is probably the service you've dreamed of having. So I can see why a lot of people would want to get it. But depending on your country or location, the anime content itself is going to change drastically. Like the content you get on Crunchyroll in the US is a lot different than what you get in the UK. Because again, those licensing rights from a lot of these companies in Japan are extremely complicated. And anime is notorious for cracking down on copyright laws. They hate when you watch anime for free. Now, with all that being said, it is a pretty popular niche service. We're going to go ahead and put that right there with Disney Plus. Now, some people aren't going to like that, but price-wise and niche-wise, I think it's very popular, and at least it fills a very, very popular niche in anime and has a really big importance to the streaming community, I find. Okay, let's move on to Peacock TV. Now, this is popular. They kind of got popular by initially being more of a free with premium option services, but they recently took away that ability. I know there are some people with free accounts still, but now it's just a paid service, which costs $5.99 a month for their basic plan. Now, their basic plan, of course, comes with ads where you can get the Premium Plus for $11.99. One of the big bonuses of Peacock is you also get a pretty wide selection of live TV. So a lot of people really like that addition added on there from Peacock. Now, their availability is definitely lacking. I can't even get it in Canada without a VPN. So you have United States, US territories, American Samoa, Guam, Northern Marina Islands, Puerto Rico, and the US Virgin Islands. Now, I do also believe it's available in the UK and a few other European countries, but that's the main area of availability. So it is kind of lacking in that way. Now, Peacock has a decent library, but it's kind of like a watered down Netflix in a way, like a cheaper version. If you don't want to pay for Netflix, then you can get Peacock, and also get a little bit of live TV, which Netflix hasn't really got into yet, although I'm expecting them to eventually. Now, Peacock has a lot of flaws, but it is we're not going there. But it is still a C tier. It's a decent service, but it's not one that a lot of people are going to necessarily break the bank to go and purchase. It might be like a secondary service. So obviously one service that has kind of changed the game when it comes to streaming, or initially wanted to, was Netflix. They're the OG. They're the blockbuster buster. Blockbuster buster? Yeah. They ruined rental movies and TV shows, essentially. Evolved it, we could say. But since then, we all know they have become extremely overpriced and only moved to create original content, which can be really good in Stranger Things or can be super bad with Rebel Moon. Now, price-wise, Netflix has a ton of options, right? You can get it with ads now. This is something new in the last 2 years, which basically took over their basic tier, which was almost that price to start with now, which is where they've put their ad tier now. You get it with 2 devices, 1080p max, good sound and video quality, they say, and a few ad breaks. But they're really trying to push it with ads because anytime you jump up, you're paying a fortune. Standard without ads is now almost double the price, over double the price of just the standard, where the premium is $22.99, with the downside of we're not even able to share content anymore because there are password restrictions, which are complete bullshit, obviously. But for me, Netflix still does have the best library of content overall. Although their originals, again, are hit and miss, they have a massive library. They have a ton of really good originals over the years that they do hit eventually, right? Like Ozarks, for example. Banger original, right? Really good. And of course, with Netflix, whenever I use it, I personally like to fire up my VPN because I'm able to change my location from Canada to like the United Kingdoms or South Korea or even the United States. And this gives me even more content. The great part about IPVanish is you can install it on any device. So whether you have a Fire Stick, an iPhone, a PC, whatever, install IPVanish. And in just a few minutes, you can change your location to pretty much anywhere in the world. Fire up Netflix and you're going to notice even more content than you had before with different shows and movies. It's kind of like getting 20 different streaming services in one. So I have the link down below. If you guys want to support the channel, I really appreciate when you purchase through the link. It's a great way to support me and allow me to continue to make great free content for you guys. All right. Enough with the ad. Now, obviously, Netflix is available in pretty much every country, as you guys know. Now, some of you are not going to like this, but Netflix is just an A tier. I actually think Prime Video is better now, especially because price-wise, it's still like half the price. Even if you account for that $3 purchase, for the ad-free and Prime, it's still cheaper than Netflix, their premium version. All right, so this is one that's become extremely popular over the last few years, Apple TV Plus. I hated on it for the longest time, but they've had some really great originals. So for one, if you guys haven't seen Ted Lasso, really great original from Jason Sudeikis. Did I say that right? I probably didn't. But that's just one of many really good movie and TV shows originals that Apple has been coming out with to compete in the streaming market. They also have MLS Season Pass, so Apple TV is another one of those services trying to, kind of integrate sports into it to bring more audience to it, right? You know, if you can get your sports and you can get movies and TV shows in one, that's a really big bonus. You know, price-wise, it's not cheap. You can see right here in this corner, $12.99 a month, right? It's on the more expensive side, right? That's right up there to Prime if you get rid of the ads. And you don't get quite as much content as Prime, nowhere near anyways. It is, of course, pretty much available in every country, but again, that licensing rights are going to change quite a bit based on what you get. They also give you a list of different things right here that you can purchase in your country. So Apple's pretty good with availability, obviously, because they own everything worldwide. Now, although it's made major jumps, I still think Apple TV Plus is a C tier, but they do have a really great interface and they have continued to develop their content. So I'm expecting Apple TV Plus to be extremely popular in the coming years, especially because their streaming device, the Apple TV, is already one of the better ones. Okay, one of the biggest growing services, Max, which actually has become one of my favorite, but of course it's not available in Canada. We have like the watered down version, which is Crave. Now, one thing I love about Max is their originals and the kind of exclusive content they have, such as House of Dragons. So they're another one that has really great exclusive original content. They also, of course, are pretty big into sports. You can get those combo deals as well to get a little bit of extra content. But like they're kind of known as like the Game of Thrones and Last of Us service, because I think that's why most people purchased it in the first place. But since then, I have kind of really enjoyed it because of the amount of original content. Price-wise, they have 3 tiers basically with ads at $9.99 a month. Quite a bit more expensive than the Netflix version. They have the ad-free version, which is $15.99 a month, basically the same price. And then the ultimate ad-free, which is a little bit cheaper than Netflix Premium at $20 a month. You do get extra features with those, but again, it's not great. I think you can still password share on it. And if you want that bigger discount, you can go ahead and get the yearly where you save a little bit of extra money just for paying up front. So I love when companies offer that option as well. It's not widely available. So unless you're in the United States or Latin America, Caribbean territories, you unfortunately can't get it. Unless, of course, you use a VPN, which is what I use for Max. Now, the reason for that is because HBO most likely has licensed out their content in those other countries before their service in order to make money. So now they can't really offer that content, which means they can't offer their service there. So until they gain all their licensing rights back, which I assume would happen eventually, they're kind of stuck where they are. Now, Max is pretty good for content, so we're going to rank it right here in the A tier. I love Max. I think it's one of the best services out there. The original content is amazing. It could be a few dollars cheaper, and that really is my only hatred of it, of course, besides the availability. So let me know if I got that one wrong. You guys might agree. I don't know. Okay, here is one you've probably never heard of. Curiosity Streams. This is like a documentary streaming service. So it is extremely niche, obviously. And it comes in a few different pricing models. It is pretty cheap. I will give them that. So you can get the standard for like $30 a month, which is almost as cheap as it gets. It gives you the ability to download and watch, and you get access to the same library. But if you want the smart bundle, where you also get some extra kind of services they offer in it, it's, $52 instead. So like an extra 20 bucks. Pricing is amazing on this. But with that being said, you have to be a major fan of these services in order to actually benefit from it, obviously, which I don't think most people would be. Now, it's available pretty much worldwide, they claim, because they have all the licensing rights. So a VPN isn't even really necessary for it. I'm not even sure if you would get more content out of it. But again, this is a niche service, so we have to remember that. Price-wise, it's what, like a third of the price of Netflix yearly? But unless you're into documentaries, it really doesn't hold a lot of value to you. And that's why we have to put it in the D tier, right? It's very niche unless you're like crazy about these documentaries, some of them which nobody has ever probably even heard of. Okay, so this is one I bought recently, and that's AMC Plus. And I only got it for one reason, because I went on a Netflix binge and I decided I need to see the off series. And this was the easiest way to watch it. Now, I actually consider this a filler service. It's like one if you have Netflix and you just want a little bit of extra content. It's extremely cheap. It's actually only like $4.99 a month. I think in Canada it's $5.99, so like an extra dollar. But it's cheap enough where you're like, whatever, I'll just purchase it. It has a decent amount of content, although obviously not a ton at that price point. There's maybe like 5 or 6 shows I'm going to watch on here, and then I'll probably just never use it again after that once I finish those older series. And it's available in a decent amount of countries. You can't get it in the UK unless you have a VPN, but the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, and Spain all are supported in their streaming service. Now, lacking quite a bit, and it's a filler service, so I can't put it any higher than D. It's just going to be thrown in there to be used whenever you get a chance to use it, But for the most part, there's like probably going to be a few series that you watch on there, and then you're going to find out it's useless after that. Okay, now talking about services that shouldn't exist, Paramount Plus should not exist. Price-wise, it's $5.99 a month with limited ads, or $11.99 a month. That's right, like the price of Prime Video without ads. You get Showtime too, but whatever. For no ads. Expensive. Plus, it just doesn't have a lot of great. First of all, nobody is getting this to watch the Knuckles Paramount original. Let's be honest. Halo sucked. So their original content is really not great. Now, this really should have been a service that just rented out the content that they owned instead of trying to make their own. But there's just so much money in streaming services, they had to do it. In terms of countries, it has decent availability: European Union, Australia, Canada, Brazil. They're, of course, also throwing their hat in the whole live sports area. So they're trying to make a little bit of extra money at least. But tier-wise, I hate Paramount Plus. I have to put it as an E tier. Like, it sucks. I don't know. Does anybody disagree? Maybe you need kids to appreciate Paramount Plus, but I think it's completely useless, especially at that price point. Like, they have to be joking with that price point. Okay, Hulu's that's the one that recently partnered with Disney, if you guys remember from early in the video. So you can get it pretty cheap with Disney. Now, the shitty part about Hulu, it's available in the US and like territories, so like Puerto Rico, and I guess US military bases across the world. But otherwise, it's not available anywhere else. So you have to use a VPN. They say they don't work with proxies. That's obviously a lie. But this is another filler service, right? Like, you can get a bunch of different services connected with it. It is pretty cheap by itself. I think it's $5.99 a month. But most people would usually get it partnered with other services. But it really doesn't have a lot of great content on here. Like, it's going to have some shows and movies that you really like, but for the most part, it's basically the same stuff you'll get on other services. But again, this is more of a filler service, something you'll connect when you get Disney Plus, for example. I'm not a huge Hulu fan, but I still think it's right up there with Peacock and Apple TV. I don't think I think it'd be more like this in terms of ranking. Apple TV's more closer to B tier, if anything. But it's just not a great service overall. It's okay. Okay, this is one a lot of you are really going to like, but some of you are just going to hate. It's another niche service. It's literally just scary films. Okay, Shudder is popular just for offering horror. You can see they also have an AMC bundle as well. And it's cheap. It's $5.99 a month, and you get a ton of different horror content to enjoy. So affordability is really good with Shudder. But obviously, if you like anything other than horror content, this isn't for you. It's a very niche service, and it's going to fill that role. Shudder isn't available in a ton of countries, but I think this is a little bit old, but it's like US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, and I think there's a few others now as well. This is back in 2020, so there's a little bit more. Now, I don't think we can rank Shudder anything higher than a D tier. It's just a niche service. If you love horror films, great. It's cheap, it's affordable, but for the most part, the average person isn't probably going to purchase it. Okay, probably the weirdest streaming service I found. This is the original reason I made this video. The Criterion channel. It's a newer service, I guess. And check out their kind of slogan: the single most essential streaming service for cinephiles. I had to look up what cinephile was. It's just somebody that really loves motion pictures, I guess. They really appreciate the finer parts of movies, like really old cinematics, I guess. I just like fucking Marvel, so what do I know? Now, asking me what content they offer is a bit of a mystery. I don't know what half this shit is. Some of you might. Maybe this is really great content, and I'm just new brained, right? I can't understand and appreciate all these old films. But I mean, come on, it has to be super cheap though, right? Like this has to be as cheap as Curiosity streams, obviously, with this kind of content. Yeah, no, you're paying $10.99 a month or $100 a year. Yeah, it's expensive. It's not cheap. And it's available in the US and Canada, so lucky us, I guess. I mean, I think you guys know where this is going. Yeah, it's going right there. All right, I had to add one more in here, and that's Hayu. Now, this is a reality TV show only service. Personally, one of my favorites because you get tons of trashy reality TV shows. Now, I've shit on Hayu in the past because they have the worst interface out of any streaming service I've ever tried. So I suggest, taking this with a grain of salt. If you don't mind a really bad media player, then it's fine. Price-wise, it's not bad. Like here, you can see 6 months for £23. This is obviously UK, but it's available in the US and Canada as well. So you can get it in quite a few different countries. Sorry, I lied. It's not available in the US, but it is available in most European, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Iceland, Philippines, Singapore, and Hong Kong, and I'm sure a few others as well. This is obviously a very niche service, but I personally love it. So it's obviously it's a D tier, just a little bit better than Shudder in my opinion, because I love trashy reality TV. It's pretty good. But that's everything, guys. Let me know down below, how far off was I on this list? What would you move around? Is Prime Video really the best streaming app, or am I completely out of pocket? Let me know down below in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for checking out this episode. I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you in the next one.